goes into the water than anybody else. I'm actually protecting it. I'm not just talking about protecting it, I'm actually protecting it.
You're protecting our coast, are you?
I am. I'm standing on guard for the...
That's good to hear.
Here, who's taking the photograph? Let's see.
Oh, they're filming.
There she is. It's Mel up there. Right there. Oh, there we go.
Whoops.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is David Eby, and I'm very proud to be the NDP candidate for Vancouver Point Grey. Friends, this is a very important election. Have a look around us. The beach, the water. We have a very important choice to make in this election. You can choose more of the same from the BC Liberals who handed over decision-making on tankers and pipelines to Ottawa, or we can have change for the better. A new Democrat government will take back control of pipeline decisions and protect our coast from potentially devastating oil spills. More of the same BC government is just not good enough. I would like to recognize former Tsleil-Waututh Councillor Carleen Thomas, who's here today from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. Thank you for joining us. I'd also like to introduce you to a friend of mine, a Vancouver City Councillor who works hard for his city. As someone who represents people across Vancouver, she knows better than anyone how important it is that decisions about BC's coast should be made right here in BC. Please welcome Andrea Reimer.
Thank you, David. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Coast Salish, the Musqueam, the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and raise my hands to Carleen Thomas for all the work she's done to help protect Vancouver and our coast here in British Columbia. I'd also like to acknowledge the sun, which is a nice change of pace for us here in Vancouver. I'm here today to read a statement on behalf of Gregor Robertson, but you know what they say about politicians with microphones, and I wanted to add a few of my own words. I've worked my whole life to build a just and sustainable future for British Columbia and for Vancouver. That's taken many forms, many different focuses, but finally in 2008, frustrated with the pace of change and in some cases the lack of action, decided to run for City Council. In 4 short years, I will be the first to admit there's a lot left to do, but I am amazed at what we've been able to accomplish. And nowhere is that more true than our efforts to make Vancouver the greenest city in the world. We've completely transformed not just how the city's green infrastructure works, but how the city sees its future. And that future does not include a major oil port in or around Vancouver. Like many of the things that we do at the municipal level, however, we need a strong partner in Victoria and supporting our aspirations for our residents and the ideas that they have for their future. And after 20 years of personally fighting Victoria on environmental issues, Adrian Dix's statements on Kinder Morgan give me hope that there will be an opportunity to work with the government in Victoria who understands our aspirations for a just and sustainable future for Vancouver. So on to Mayor Gregor Robertson's statements. Vancouver and all of BC's coastal communities are uniquely connected to our natural environment. Here in Vancouver, we rely on the ocean, not just as a source of outdoor recreation and home to our amazing wildlife, but as the basis for much of our tourism industry, which employs tens of thousands of people in good-paying jobs. Not to mention benefiting every other local business that has a competitive advantage in attracting talent because people want to come to live and visit or start a family in this amazing city. Proposals to dramatically expand oil tanker exports through our port put our environment and our economy at risk. An oil spill, even a minor one, would be devastating. Vancouver, perhaps more than any other city in North America, relies on the health of our natural environment to grow our economy. And I know that our concerns are shared by our cousins up north facing the prospect of the Northern Gateway pipeline. I want to commend Adrian and his team for taking a clear stand on an issue that is vital to the future of our city, our province, and our planet.
Yeah.
This is saying yes to a sustainable, diverse, resilient economy. It's about saying yes to being a province that can look to the future and plan for the long term for our children and our grandchildren. It's about saying yes to making BC a home for world-leading businesses in low-carbon industries like renewable energy, clean tech, and our creative industries in technology, entertainment, and design. Those are jobs we want to grow aggressively. They're the businesses who compete against the best in the world. But we stand to lose in a big way if a massive tanker increase goes through, bringing with it enormous risk, a risk that just is not worth it. Thank you to everyone for coming out today to show your support and standing up to protect our coast, our community, our city, and our climate. Mayor Gregor Robertson.
Thank you so much, Andrea. You know, I've been out talking to people in Vancouver Point Grey for a long time now. And the voters I talk to tell me it's time for a change. Not just a change in government, but a change in the way we engage in politics.
Right.
They're tired of personal attacks. They're tired of being told one thing and getting another.
Right.
For 12 long years, we've been putting up with this kind of government, and enough is enough. We need a new and better government that shows leadership on environmental issues. A government that won't turn Vancouver into a major oil export port. That's an NDP government. And that's why I'm so proud to be running as part of this team with a leader who cares about the issues that are important to us. I know that our leader, Adrian Dix, is someone who will stand up for BC every single day. And I know on May 14th, I'll be proud to call him our Premier. Friends, please join me in welcoming the leader of the BC NDP, the next Premier of British Columbia, Adrian Dix.
All right. Where's John Horgan?
John Horgan's winning the election on Vancouver Island. It's great to be here, looking out on this spot. It's been great to be here in this campaign and over the last year, seeing other places in BC as well, where people have expressed concern about their future, their environment, their economy, their choices. Looking out at English Bay, looking out at Stanley Park is something that, for those of us who grew up in Vancouver, is a big part of what makes our community special, what brings people from all over the world to this place. And just as people feel that way here, people in Hartley Bay, as they look out at Wright Sound, feel the same way in the waters where they earn their living, where they sustain their life. That's the economy too. And I think that the coast, our rivers, our streams have been essential to our economy and our culture, not just for 10 years or 20 years, but for hundreds of years and thousands of years. And that's why First Nations communities across BC have spoken out so strongly on pipeline issues. It's why the people of BC at hearings in BC have spoken out so strongly on pipeline issues. Because they understand that projects such as Enbridge Northern Gateway are not in our economic, our cultural, or our environmental interest. And they understand in Metro Vancouver, they understand that transforming this place that brings people from all over the world, this extraordinary place that we see here and we live here, and we never take for granted because we understand its value, I think. We understand that its value is something that is surely too valuable to sell. We understand that. It's why here we said clearly, in this election campaign, not after the election, but before the election, that we don't think the ports of Metro Vancouver should be turned into major oil export ports. This is what change for the better is all about. It's telling people what you're going to do before the election. That's what it's all about. It's on Enbridge Northern Gateway telling the Joint Review Panel clearly, more than a year ago, that we didn't think that project was in our environmental or economic interest. It was saying in August of 2012 that we would end the agreement with the federal government that handed over to the current federal cabinet the right to decide for British Columbia what our position was on these projects. We said that would end. And it means telling people before the election that if what we're talking about here is the export of bitumen larger than Enbridge Northern Gateway will deliver in the north, if we are talking about changing the nature of the Kinder Morgan pipeline into an export pipeline for bitumen, if that's what we're talking about in the election, then our position is clear. The people of Metro Vancouver, the people of British Columbia don't want that. And we don't want that. Now, as many of you were, I was watching the hockey game last night. The result, like the Liberal Party's performance at the Joint Review Panel hearings, could have been better. I saw an ad from the Liberal Party. And the ad says, as if to provide meaning to the Liberal fact-free campaign, that they had stood up for British Columbia on Enbridge Northern Gateway. Right? So let's provide a contrast to our position of leadership on this question and the Liberal position of photo ops. Right? Let's provide some context. It was the Liberal government that signed an agreement with Ottawa that said not that we would have a joint review between BC and Ottawa of these projects, of Enbridge Northern Gateway. They signed an agreement that said whatever Ottawa decides is our decision. That's what they decided. Then this is my favorite moment of leadership. They missed the deadline to provide evidence to the hearing. They missed the deadline. It was a high priority item. They missed the deadline. Right? 3 years ago, Enbridge Northern Gateway applied, and we don't know where the Premier or the Liberals stand. Hearings are coming on June 17th. Final statements, closing arguments. We don't know where they stand. Their whole position is one, trust me. Just like the HST. And then two, that we are prepared to sell our coast, sell our economic environmental interests if the check is large enough from Ottawa or Alberta. But we won't tell you until after the election. So here's what I say. You know where we stand, and that's leadership. You know that a change for the better will mean a BC government that stands up for British Columbia, that doesn't miss deadlines, that ensures that decisions are made on something of this much importance in British Columbia, right here in British Columbia. that projects that are not in our economic interest and not our environmental interest, we will not support. And we will say so clearly before elections. Photo ops at federal provincial conferences are not leadership. Photo ops at federal provincial conferences are not leadership. Saying that you're taking action but handing over control to the federal cabinet is not leadership. Failing to provide evidence is not leadership. Failing to tell people where you stand on the pipeline in the north and the pipeline in the south before the election is not leadership. We need change for the better in British Columbia. So the choice is clear. The last two elections in British Columbia, the Liberal Party won by less than 4%, and 50% of people didn't turn out to vote. The stakes in this election could not be higher.
That's right.
If you want change for the better, if you want a government that speaks out for you on pipeline proposals, if you want a government that will stand up for British Columbia, not just the Liberal Party, but British Columbia, then you need to vote NDP in this election. If you think that the oil tanker moratorium is important on the North Coast, if you think the future of the Port of Vancouver and English Bay and Stanley Park and the Salish Sea, the Strait of Georgia, the Strait of Juan de Fuca are important in this election, you have to vote NDP. If you think that our economy is, of course, about things like natural gas, but it's about more than that, then you have to vote NDP. Because more of the same, more of saying that we'll sell out our interests for a little bit from Alberta or Ottawa, more of missing deadlines when they should have been standing up for BC, more of not telling people where they stand before the election. If that's what more of the same is what you want, well, you've got a choice too.
We're going to stand on the coal barges.
We have to bring change for the better in our province. I know that many people in our province are tired after 12 years of Liberal government. 12 years of spending money on partisan ads rather than on people's needs. 12 years of cutting skills training when young people need the opportunities for the future. 12 years of not taking a stand when they should have taken a stand for our environment. That needs to change. And it is now, at this moment, with the advanced polls opening next Wednesday, with the election in 10 days, a moment for all of us to talk to our friends, to talk to our neighbors, to talk to people in our workplaces and say, this election is too important to sit out. The future of our coast is too important not to have your voice heard. In this election, we need people not to stay home. We need the overwhelming majority of people who support the idea that our coasts are for everyone and that we shouldn't put them at risk to have their voice heard. So I ask for your support in this election. For a BC for a political party and for a democracy where people tell you where they stand before the election. For a BC that supports our environment and protects our coast. For a BC that puts people first. For a change for the better. And so, as we enter into these last few days of this campaign, I challenge the Liberal Party not to continue with their campaign, and we know what that is, attack, rinse, repeat. but tell people where they stand on Kinder Morgan, where they stand on Enbridge Northern Gateway, where they stand on tankers on the coast, whether they are fighting and are ensuring that there won't be a 9-fold increase in tankers right here. That's the choice in this election. I ask all of you to do what you can these last few days to make that choice clear, to ensure that people talk about the future, not the photo ops. That we fight for what is important, what has made our province something special for generations unto generations. I ask you to vote in this election for change for the better, one practical step at a time. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
What's going to happen on this part?
You got some stuff on prescription drugs?
Yep.
You know, is there some on the therapeutics initiative in there?
Yeah, on the last issue.
In the last issue?
Last month.
You know, I've been fighting for 7 years on that.
Good luck, Adrian.
Hey, thank
I'm a
you.
filmmaker, and I'm looking forward to the change.
Hey, thank you.
Equity for BC Film.
This is video, so you got to say something.
Protect our coast. We want green British Columbia. We want to leave a legacy for our children, for our families. Vote NDP. Vote David Eby and Beck Point Grey. Vote for Adrian Dix and vote for the entire NDP team in British Columbia on May 14th.
Excellent. Thank you.